Neily on Nutrition. I'm back again with Jessica Setnick, my friend and eating disorder expert. We're talking about eating disorders. I asked her to speak about 8-year-olds, talking about dieting and so forth. How much does the family dynamic, how much does mom's worrying about her weight have to do with that, and what can people do?
Sure. Well, first of all, let me just say that by the time a child is 8, they have received so many outside messages versus what's going on in the family that I don't think you can point a finger at any parents and say they are the reason someone develops an eating disorder. There's certainly genetic pieces and societal pieces, and I think an old way of thinking was to point the finger at parents and say they must have done something wrong to have a child with an eating disorder. At the same time, I don't think that parents can cause an eating disorder. I think that the home environment can become sort of a breeding ground for the risk factors of an eating disorder if there is a lot of talk about dieting in the home, because in my mind, dieting indicates that you must be talking about something wrong with yourself, because why would you diet? Now, if you're talking about a diet for a condition like celiac disease or something like that, I don't know that that has the same effect. It may have effects. The restrictive eating may lead to a different kind of eating disorder. But dieting, as far as dieting for weight loss, in our culture seems to have a lot of really negative connotations. And we have that image, I think, culturally of what I think of it as the old Slim Fast commercials where there was a heavy, sad person and then they lost a lot of weight and now they're skipping on the beach. And so we have that idea in our heads that happiness relies on looking a certain way on the outside. And so I think if that's the belief that parents in a family, and I would not limit it to moms, but moms and dads, or caregivers of any kind, if that's the belief that they have, then that belief can be portrayed to the children, even if parents aren't intending to say to their child, there's something wrong with you. The message of gaining weight equals a problem. And for kids, gaining weight is normal, gaining weight and growing.
Right.
But what I think parents can do to help is to help children spend the time that they're talking about different things, not necessarily never talk to their children about weight and eating, because then that leaves the children completely open to only the messages from society, but to talk about those kind of things and to talk about how changing the way you're eating might be a good idea for health reasons, but it doesn't necessarily change who you are inside, and those kind of messages. And some of the research on eating disorders actually shows that a child, especially a girl, female child's relationship with her dad is a really important factor in the development of self-esteem and the development of how she respects herself and allows other men and boys in her life to treat her. And so moms are very important, dads are very important too.
And if dad teases her.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
If a dad or mom criticizes or teases a daughter about their weight, that can definitely be a factor. And the problem is, of course, that, and I'm not talking about situations where there's abuse or neglect. I'm talking about good parents who love their kids. If they believe that cultural myth that being a certain size leads to happiness, and they want their child to be happy, because who doesn't, then they may believe that their child needs to be a certain size to be happy. So with all of the best intentions, they may actually be sending a really negative message to the child that if you were different, I would love you more. If you were different, you would be more acceptable. When what kids really need to hear is, I love you just the way you are. And a lot of times, kids that are sort of, let's use the word pudgy, it just means they're about to have a growth spurt and grow taller. And so we really, of all the places that we go in the world that can have unsafe messages, home really needs to be a safe place where everyone's accepted the way they are. And so teasing, even though it might be most well-intended and humorous, for kids, when they really are at that age where they take things very literally, I would suggest avoiding any teasing about appearance, whether it's weight or acne or a girl starting to get breasts, any of those kind of things. People can be really sensitive.
I think that's very important information for people to know, that that eating disorders and that dieting mentality can start so young, and what parents say and society too has a lot to do with that too. So great. Again, Jessica Setnick, eating disorder registered dietitian, and this is Neily on Nutrition, and we'll see you in the next video.